Is it you want it now? Go. Yo.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the third official video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today, as you see, we have one more person. We've seen all these faces, these I would say beautiful, but lying's a sin, as Jesus said. These faces, we got Hudson, myself, Brady, and Sandrin.
So if lying was a sin, then you would say that you have beautiful faces around here.
So if it wasn't a sin.
If it is a sin, then you're sinning right now by saying that we're not beautiful.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So we're kind of just gonna go kind of with the flow, like how we did the last one. Hopefully it's not as long, so you guys can. I know everyone these days has a very short attention span, and 3 seconds of focusing is kind of hard for most people because we're goldfishes these days. But before we
just get laser fingers that we just like talk while we're just like.
Oh, those like TikToks where they're like,
yeah,
those are actually kind of cool. I'd say interested.
It's okay, we got into an ASMR.
Oh yeah.
Last time.
So, what was I gonna say? Oh, would you guys, one of you, like to pray before we start? Just to allow the Holy Spirit in?
Just a starting prayer?
Like to allow the Holy Spirit to speak through us to...
Cool. Yeah, I'll do one.
Alright.
Alrighty.
Face the microphone. Thank you, sir.
Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to meet today, and just thank you for this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. It's been really nice weather out, so appreciate that. Just want to pray for guidance and wisdom and strength for everyone in this room, and just that we have a great day. And I pray that we may do your will, and that you may deter us from doing our own will, and making sure that we can be the best servants to you, and whatever that job may entail, we can follow it to a T. Yeah, so thank you. Amen.
Amen.
That was good. So also for the people who are watching, I've come to realize, like, I don't know, maybe some people don't realize it, but if you, yeah, it's a study Bible. Like if you open it, like, yeah, open a page and you'll see like under it kind of gives you like feedback and stuff.
I was gonna say this is huge.
It's a thick boy. I know. I like it though. It kind of helps because my mind's kind of simple sometimes. But
you curl this thing whenever you
I know. No, it actually really is heavy. That was what I was carrying in my backpack. It was heavy when we were running. If you swipe up while the video is playing, you can eventually, like, you can turn off your phone. You can have your phone off while listening to this, just for the people who don't want to have to keep their phone on or whatever they're watching while they listen to us. So that's a little notion for that. How's everyone doing though tonight?
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's good.
Been a good day.
Been a good day. That is true.
Beautiful weather out.
It is.
Really good.
It's very warm. I'm surprised.
Then I get to go work in it for 2 hours straight after this podcast.
That is not fun. So, as I was with Sandrin yesterday, and we were talking while we were on a jog, about him and his spiritual journey as of now, and we'd like to hear a little bit more about it from his side, and so we can all understand and give our own opinions.
All right, sweet. Okay, so something I've been on recently has been like this like little. A lot of people question about how.
Is this one the bottom?
This is the top.
Okay. You're good. You're good. Because I was looking at his.
Yeah. Do I need to sit forward or?
No, it was reading well.
I don't know if it's echoing through that or not.
It seemed like it was reading well. Go ahead.
Go for it.
All right. Okay. So, anyway, so I'm the theme of this story is going to be how science and Christianity kind of play hand in hand, and you know, for those out there who are really logical thinkers and aren't too much into just like they're more into the facts, the story might be a little bit for you. So these past probably like last week, I went on a little spiritual journey, and because it's August, well September now, but it was August when this was happening, and school just restarted, and I'm going to college at Ivy Tech, in case we got any Ivy Techers out there. I don't know what our mascot is, but represent it. So,
Isn't it a tree?
I think it's literally a tree.
I think it's a tree.
So stand tall and strong, my fellow tree. I have no clue.
Tree
So,
lovers.
but so school started, and I had a earth science class, and when I was sitting there listening to what she was saying, she was giving a brief overview of the whole class, and it's like a 4 hour class, so it really wasn't that brief, but she
Yeah.
was going over it, and she
It's
was
a
like going over the
quick
things we're going to
summary.
talk about, and it was like it was the formation of the Earth, the evolution of humans, where we came from, and just like what scientists believe in and how we came to be. And the thing was, the dilemma I was having was the science was there. Like the science was there and the math was making sense.
Mhm.
And like when like you can hear somebody be like, "Oh, we came from apes," right? And you're like, "No way! Like that's just stupid." But then when someone sits down and breaks it down in front of you for 4 hours, you're like, "Okay, that kind of makes a little bit of sense." But like, so I was just having a
Wait,
dilemma
can I
about
throw
it.
something in?
Huh?
So like even with that, like even if that was the case where we did come from an ape, like well before the ape was the fish that decided to walk out of like decided to crawl
And
out
it
of
was
the
a single
sea,
cell
and then it
organism.
was a single cell organism, and then that all happened on this planet that's livable and sustainable for us, that also has a sun that is just in the right position to where if we were too far one way we'd freeze or we'd be too high.
Yep.
And like the science I guess explains like all that stuff, but there's too many like I can't think of the word,
Coincidences.
coincidences
Yeah.
that make it to where we are the way we are now to be like science.
Mm.
Like, why wouldn't that happen more often though?
And their argument with that is that that the universe is so vast that you're exactly right that it is a bunch of coincidences that lined up to lead up to that. So it's like, but the cool way to think about it is after I had this little dilemma, which I'll finish the story in a second, but I'm going off on the sidetrack right now. But I called my dad after this happened, and well, actually, I'm just gonna tell the story and then add on to that. So I went into class, and I was after the class happened. I asked her. I waited till everyone left, and I asked her. I was like, so what got you into teaching science? Because I wanted to know like what put her there. And she's like, oh, I went to Indian. I knew what I wanted to be in sixth grade. I had a really cool science teacher, and like it was awesome. And I just knew I wanted to teach science at that point in time. And then she had another good one in her sophomore year of high school. So then she went to Indiana Wesleyan, which is a Christian college, and I
Mhm.
was like, she was there for 1 year, and I was like, oh, you're a Christian? And she was like, no, I just had Christian friends who went to church, and they were also going to Indiana Wesleyan, so I decided to go there too. But they didn't teach evolution at that college, so I left that college, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. But so then she got her degree in science, and fast forward in the conversation, and I asked her without asking her, like, I didn't ask her like do you believe that there's a God, but like I was like kind of like
Indirectly.
going to that way, and she was like, it's so crazy you asked me that because up until just the past 72 hours, I have never ever like been spiritual or whatever, but these past 72 hours, I've been having these things happen to me that can only be explained by like spiritualism and stuff.
That's crazy.
And
Wow.
I was like, wow, that's insane. I was like, that's honestly, that's really cool to be able to hear. And I told her, I was like, I'm gonna talk to you right now as a person talking to a person. I want to talk to you as a student talking to a teacher. I want like you're somebody who's in the science field and knows way more than what I do and has more knowledge than what I do with science. So I want to know what your opinions are, your theology are. I'll put my own theology aside, but I want to know what yours is. And she was like blown away that I asked her. She was like, "That's so crazy. Like I've been like these past 72 hours, I've been going through this like questions myself and these like spiritual like this spiritual journey as well." And I was like, "Well, sounds like we got to dive into this. Sounds like it's
Mhm.
meant to be." So I asked her, and she was like, she said that she was leaning more into Buddhism, but like that she's leaning more into it, and like even with her science mind who knows so much about science and like has a degree and like studied physics, studied biology, she does the formation earth science, so she does formations of the earth, and like that's somebody who's pretty like a lot about
Yeah.
what humans think that they know about the earth. So and even to hear from her that she was like going over on the spiritual side was absolutely crazy. And the semester before that, I had an 84-year-old science teacher who I was talking to. He's a physics teacher, and this was last year. I asked him the same question because he was talking about the Big Bang and stuff. And like I said, when I ask him these questions, I'm not trying to like be like, I'm not trying to push anything. I'm purely doing it, like, asking them, because you got to utilize your resources. If they're there in front of you, ask them, because they know more than you. Whether you like to admit it or not, they know more than you. So
Yep.
I went ahead and asked them. I was like, what do you think? You're somebody who studied science. You're somebody who probably knows more facts than what I do, and I want to know what your theology is. And even he, the 84-year-old teacher, who 84-year-olds are going to be stubborn and, whatever, but he was like, I don't see why God couldn't have created the Big Bang. And I was like, that's so crazy that, like, both my science teachers were like, two people who are, one guy's been doing it for years and years and years. He's a physics teacher, and he's like, I definitely could see it. It's like, that's crazy. But yeah. So, and then there's one more fact to the story that's pretty crazy. So I got home that night, and then 3 days later, my girlfriend Kate, she told me that she saw a post, and she's friends with my professor on Facebook, because they, like, did some kind of thing together.
The female one.
And yeah, the female one that I just got done talking to, like, two weeks ago. And she said that she saw the post, and then underneath it, that professor commented a Bible verse underneath the post the night, and it was right after we got done with that talk. Like, she went home that night and commented a Bible verse underneath the post. So I guess that talk that me and her had was just, like, good enough for her
Pushed
to,
her
like,
over the top, made her cup overflow.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So
What was the verse by chance? Do you remember?
it was John something, so I don't know what it was, but
Classic
I
John.
think it was
Yeah.
the classic, the one that everyone posts.
John.
But yeah, it was crazy. It's crazy to hear two science professors who know so much about science that, like, because Christians think there's this kind of divide between science and Christianity, and there's, like, you're either you
Pro
believe the Big Bang
science or
happened,
pro
you believe in
God.
evolution, you believe in this stuff, and that's it, and you don't believe in Christianity, and there's no mix in between, but there is 100% there.
So it's crazy that you're talking about this, because last year I went to a basically like a big presentation in front of like 200 different Ball State College students in the amphitheater, and the guy has a book, and the whole presentation was called "God's Not Dead," and they found a big I don't know what his name is, but he basically just tries to break down how everything is just science and none of it is, like, spiritually related. And I have the book somewhere. It's at my house. But his name is Rice Brooks. And he came, talked to all of them, and he was just trying to explain how everything is spiritual but also science. So, like what you're doing is asking questions about how these all come together. They were talking about how the Big Bang was just, like, so spontaneous and out of nowhere that, like, it can't have just been science, because it started from absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So
There's another part I want to add on to that. So the Bible talks about in the beginning there was light.
Yeah.
And then scientists talk about in the beginning there was the Big Bang.
Yeah.
I literally, and I was talking to her about this too in this conversation, then we both agreed on this, that it's all the same story told through different perspectives. Scientists are telling it through the human understanding. Christians are telling it through the spiritual understanding.
Yeah.
And then whatever else, it's the same thing. It's literally the same story being told. And, like, how we came from, to Adam and Eve and in this big luscious garden. Scientists also believe that there's two people that started the whole chain of events, and it was in this really lush garden in Pangea. So it's like, it's the same narratives being told. And she was like, 100%. She was like, I was like, it's the same narratives being told through different scopes. And she was like, you're 100% right. And then she's like, there's different levels to it. But yeah, it's the same story being told, but through different perspectives. And I was like, that's wow. That's
So
crazy.
Brady, like when you were saying just a few seconds ago how like you can have science, you said something, I feel like I'm about to misquote it completely. Something about like there's science involved, but some of the science can't always explain everything.
Yeah.
Like with
basically, like what you were saying, like coincidences. They're not really coincidences, because with God, there's no coincidence. It can seem like that, but He's made that for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, to a human eye, it'll seem like a coincidence.
Human understanding, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like all these things that, like you were saying, like we went through how we're perfectly aligned with the sun, and how all these different planets in our solar system are perfectly aligned, so we can get the right amount of sun to where we don't freeze, to where we're not too hot, all these things.
Oh yeah, so cause like that, a lot of people who think and like base everything they do on by science and shut up, it wasn't me. They like base it on logic purely instead of like hope, and that's what faith is just hope and like faith, like those two kind of align to me at least, and like so they completely they
But
disregard
faith doesn't have
that.
to be blind. I do want to say that.
Mm.
Because there are, I'm like, I stand for that side of people because there's ignorance of bliss people who like, and there's no problem with it. Like people who are just like, God makes the sun rise in the morning and God makes the set. And I don't know why they have a country accent they do in this example,
Country.
and I don't have to question it because God, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, and we're flawed people. We're not perfect people. So there's gonna be some of us who want to dig deeper. I don't think that's being unperfect, but just because there is faith does not mean it has to be blind, and there is science behind it, and you can actually pull the math from it if you dive in deep into it. And that's what I do. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that's just gonna listen to. I question everything that I'm told, even if it's people tell you it's a fact in your face. I'm gonna question it and figure it out for myself because faith doesn't have to be blind.
And that's a great quality to have.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The meat grinding is crazy, bro. Oh my.
Oh my gosh, Trey.
Look.
Your mama gonna yell at you again.
No, that is true. Because I mean, like something as simple as like when the Red Sea was like parted, like that's something you can prove through archaeology?
Yeah.
Is that what that is? Like where this supposed miracle happened, there's a whole bunch of mud and stuff, and then right where geology, yeah, like right where they said the
Archaeology, like
sea.
bones and stuff.
Oh, you know what? You're a bone. You're a bone. And like there's sand right where they said they walked, like everywhere else is mud, and you would fall and like you'd get trapped basically in the mud regardless if the waves weren't there. But then right where they said they were talking about walking, there was sand, and like that's scientifically proven that there was sand where they were talking about thousands of years ago, like writing about where they were walking. But there's
Where'd you
no
read this from? What is this study from?
probably Wikipedia if I'm being honest. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen it somewhere. I'll find it.
It was on his.
You gotta get the sources and bring it on next podcast.
I'll find
We
it.
gotta start doing that, bringing up facts. We can sit here and say it all day, but we gotta. Some people.
That
need
is fair.
facts.
That is true. But like, yeah, you can't explain like regardless if there's science to prove that there's randomly sand out of all this entire like sea in one strip of area, like you can't explain why there was 100-foot waves that lifted up on each side to let people walk. The moon's not gonna do that for you.
Yeah, and like seashells being on Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Like people are like, there's science that explains why there's seashells on Mount Everest. But
Where is this source from?
the source, okay, I can probably put it up on my phone if you want me to. But the source that I heard that from was the Earth Science teacher girl from like 2 weeks ago. So I'm sure I could pull up something.
No, yeah, I've heard that
What's
before.
the science? You said that there was science.
There's science behind it. So mountains are formed when two
Tectonic plates collide.
So
Yeah.
the plates that are made the mountain of Mount Everest were underneath the ocean at one point in time. So when the plates collided, they were ocean. It was underneath the water, and then so there were seashells down here, and then it went up past the water. So that's why you have whale bones on Mount Everest and like seashells, because not. And I mean, it could have been from the flood, but I mean, personally, I don't think there was a whole world flood. Honestly, I don't think there was a whole world flood, but that's probably why that's why they think there's seashells on Mount Everest. But
That's fair. I mean, it makes logical sense.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about how they think they found Noah's Ark, and it's like
No,
really
I've
underground?
I've
Wait,
seen that.
what?
You've
Not
seen that?
underground. I just saw like
Well,
I've seen the
it's not
skeleton of the
underground, but
ship.
It's like it's not.
is
You
it
can't
petrified
see
wood?
it. It's petrified wood, yeah. And they're saying that they're finding out all the specs of Noah's Ark, and they're doing the specs on it for the mound in the ground that is there. And they're saying
'cause
they
isn't it
match
like
up
a giant
exactly.
hill? Isn't like a giant hill with grass on it? Like if you
Yeah.
look at it from the outside, it's just a giant hill that looks like.
But if you look at it from up above, it looks exactly like it. If it was turned upside down.
That's great. That's awesome.
It's so nuts. And they were like, yeah, it's petrified wood.
That's cool.
Nuts.
Crazy.
Do you think there was a whole world flood?
I guess it depends on like if we're saying like
I wonder what the Bible says. The Bible
whole
says
world flood, as in like going up like
All the way. I don't think it was like all the way up there.
to cover up some of the mountains that we have. I don't think so,
I don't
but
think so,
enough to be
no.
able to flip Noah's Ark.
so.
Well,
Probably.
his arc wasn't flipped, and
Well, I
if it
know.
was flipped, it would have been after he was already off of it, where there
That's
was.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I used to have this. There's two theories I have with this. So there's one. This is my old theory I had with it. And there's a new one. I'll tell you guys the old one though. So the atmosphere when dinosaurs were alive was super thick, right? It was super dense. It was jungle everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it was almost, and that's why all the fossils for the dinosaurs, they all had huge lungs because the air was just so dense and moist. So the Bible, then all of a sudden the dinosaurs just died off, right? Dinosaurs died off, and then human life or whatever life began is what scientists think. So that if you listen to that, so the Bible that directly translates into the Bible because the Bible says that Noah, everyone knows the story. Every animal got on the boat, and it was just Noah and his family. And then it doesn't say anything about dinosaurs. They didn't say dinosaurs made it on the boat, but it does say that God opened up the firmament of the earth, let the water pour in, and then it wiped out all the life on the earth. So if you can see where I'm connected this dot for it, the firmament being the atmosphere of the air at the time was so dense with water, and then when God opened up the firmament, it let all that moisture in the air come in and just wiped out all the dinosaurs. And then scientists say, in timeline order, humans came after the dinosaurs. So Noah's Ark landed, and then he started repopulating the earth, and that's when humans came. So, like I said, it's the same. It's another example of the same story being told through different narratives. But that's my old theory, and then the new theory is that I'm working on both of them, but I think that I don't think it was a whole world flood. I think that there's proof that the Red Sea was huge at one point in time. It was way bigger than what it was. And if you look on the map of where Noah was at, he's right next to the Red Sea. So I think that the Red Sea might have got really big and it covered the whole, like a big area of land. But Noah, if you were in that ark, Noah would have had no way of knowing if the whole world was flooded or if it was just that area that was flooded. So I think he thought it was the whole world got flooded, but it might have just been that area. But there's just not a whole lot of proof surrounding that the whole earth was covered in water at one point in time. But there is a lot of proof surrounding that the Red Sea expanded and covered up the almost.
That would explain the erosion of Pangea and it splitting even.
Yeah. Wait, say that again.
Pangea.
Yeah.
How it all split. That would even make sense that the water broke those apart.
Oh, and the water
split.
Yeah.
It eroded the ground.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But the thing, because I guess I could kind of go with what you're saying. I'm not sure either if there was a whole world that was covered in water, but I know it was far enough to where Noah would send out birds I don't know if it was every day. It was a type of bird. I don't think it was a dove, but he sent out a bird to go and try to find land, and every time it'd come back, no matter how long. They were out there for, I don't know, was it a few months?
It's called a raven.
A raven, yeah. And I don't know how many months it was that they were out there on the boat. So they were traveling they were moving somewhere, and each time he sent out the bird, it was big enough to where the bird could not go to find land.
But even then, it's big enough to where he could think he's moving, but maybe he's in the same spot.
Yeah.
I don't think that boat. We're digging into science, so we have not enough information to know if that boat can move that far or whatever. But I do want to say that a raven can fly can cover up to 100 miles a day. So let's give it 200 miles just to be safe. So 200-mile radius is still not enough, even if that boat's moving to know if the whole world was flooded. I don't think they even had a whole world map back then, back in biblical times. So
I think so.
Christopher Columbus.
He discovered America.
He is America. America.
CC.
No.
Did I tell you about that with Elijah talking about the school system? He was like, schools don't lie to us. And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. And he was like,
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I go, where do you think the Native Americans came from? He was like,
From Christopher Columbus.
Oh. And I was like, yes, dude.
He was like, Christopher Columbus brought him.
Yeah.
That was tough. No. So I do want to because we're all logical. I think we're all logical thinkers somewhat. But to have someone who's there's a difference in logical thinker. Yeah, but but in comparison to you talking how you are as a logical thinker compared to Elijah, he's pure he does not have the understanding of what faith really means. It's purely
he has faith in Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a logical thinker, but he just has his faith into the things that he's being told versus pulling inferences from different sources.
Yeah.
He's just what's Google say the first thing? He was trying to argue with me that we were talking about how old we think the human population is. How long have humans been on Earth? He said 50 million years. I was like, no way. He goes, they literally teach us that in school. Like, are you stupid? And I was like, okay, Elijah. And then I brought the Christopher Columbus thing, and he was like, oh, okay. But like, he has his faith set into what the teachers tell him, and like,
Teachers and Wikipedia, they know best.
Bars. No, that is. So do you? I want to. So you don't seem like you believe in it. So none of you believe that the asteroid hit the Earth.
no, I believe it.
I believe it.
So what's the?
Really?
So if the
Yeah.
asteroid hit the Earth, then
Wait, okay, what do you talk? Okay, I believe that an asteroid has hit Earth at some
yeah.
point in time.
well,
Yeah.
no, duh.
To
Like
wipe
an
out the
asteroid.
dinosaurs, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah, that an asteroid had hit the Earth to wipe out the
Because
dinosaurs.
I've
I
seen
don't know
some
if that's
science that
science
says
behind it.
that
You
that's
think
what happened.
maybe he opened the firmament,
And it.
like the water came in, and then the asteroid hit, and that's where we get that. But it did damage to the Earth, but wasn't what wiped out dinosaurs.
Open the
Mm,
firmament.
wait,
Yeah.
hold on.
Whatever.
So wait,
Whatever.
because there was like a giant dent, like there's a crater or whatever that like shows where this supposed asteroid hit. Do you think that it could potentially be like because the water poured out all at once? So that's no matter if it's a gallon of water, if you're falling from that far, like thousands and thousands of feet from the sky, that's gonna hurt when it lands on the ground. Like that's gonna hit hard. So if imagine it's all this water that even if it's not covering the whole world, it's covering an ocean. Like if that lands all at once in some area, like that's gonna make a crater. So do you think maybe people thought because they see a giant crater that is big enough to wipe out all of extinction at the time, do you think maybe it was the water that just hit all at once and then it started to spread out?
No. That's absolutely not. You say that you think that the water when it fell down, it made a crater in the earth.
Like I'm saying, like if it all fell out from one specific area, because he made the way at least I remember it talking
We
about.
could look up the map. I don't think so, but I can't say for sure. But we could look it up. I don't think because where's the water falling from? The water's falling from Earth's atmosphere. No, I don't believe water is heavy enough to create. Because I've seen the pictures of the craters.
Mhm.
I'd love to go see it in person so I can make my own inference from it.
For sure.
But no, I think that was a meteor, 100%.
So, but the thing is, we think water just purely comes from the clouds that are a few hundred feet, like 1,000 feet up in the sky. And the thing is, we can go up that far with a plane. That's been proven every time we're in a plane. I'm saying if the firmament is what we think it is, it's above from what we're used to. Like it's not just 100 feet.
You believe there's a firmament around the Earth?
Like I'm saying, like it's far up there. It's not just.
It's farther than the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's farther than what the clouds are looking like. I don't think it came from just a whole bunch of clouds. I'm thinking it literally God opened up the firmament, like it says, and that's far.
Still.
Like that's why I mean, if you throw, especially if it was like. If it wasn't in a desert or something, because like if that's sand, like that's
crater?
like where the crater is, isn't that around a desert? And
Okay, terminal velocity of water, meaning the fastest that water can reach to while it's falling, is 20 miles per hour.
Mhm.
There's no way that
But-
water falling at 20 miles per hour. Well, even if it doesn't matter if it's a billion feet or 1,000 feet,
But how much-
terminal velocity is the fastest that object can go when it's falling, and that's 20 miles per hour.
And then so now imagine enough to at least cover an ocean is falling, and if this, like I said, I don't know for sure if it is in a desert, but I thought it was. Excuse me, this giant crater was in a desert area. If you pour water, even if it's a little sprinkle, like a few drops of water onto sand or like dirt, you can see it makes a divot.
I see your logic behind that.
But like, where's the crater at?
The crater's in Arizona.
So that's a desert.
Yeah.
So imagine you pour a bucket of water
But it's not
into
loose.
sand.
It's not the loose sand that you're like the top layer. The top like foot would probably be loose sand, but
It's almost like
there's a
coarse
rock
dirt.
underneath there, and that water would have to be.
Heavy. So like, I mean,
it'd have to be moving faster than what it's capable of moving to create that kind of crater.
but also like when you go to the bottom of the ocean, all that pressure around you, like doesn't that destroy like metal? So
okay, that's a good point. So there's a lot of pressure because there's a lot of weight and it's falling at a fast speed. But you look at the shape of that crater, like you would be saying that when that flood happened, that God put all the water into a ball, perfect sphere, and just dropped it in Arizona, not even close to where the flood was happening at. But like, it's easier you could go in a reach and say that, but it's easier just to say like. It's possible that a meteor hit the Earth. The Bible doesn't say that the meteor didn't hit the Earth, so
That's
I think it checks out. It's valid.
Yeah.
But to connect
No.
that as part of the flood, I don't think so. What'd you say?
I said no. I'm right. I'm always right.
Okay, you're right. Giant water ball created the dinosaurs.
Hey, you don't know. Maybe God was feeling like a waterbender at the time.
Yeah, here's an interesting thing to think
It
about.
was a spirit bomb.
It could be
Pitching a
Vegeta.
fastball.
Vegeta might be out there somewhere.
A fastball.
He threw a fastball at the earth.
But something to think about, and so there's another part to that story about the science teacher that when I was talking to her. So I went home later that day, and I was just like, questioning things. I was just thinking, like, I was running numbers in my head because I'm not the type of person, like, when something's presented in front of me, I think about it and I accept it. So I like to say that open-mindedness led me to Christianity, not the other way around. Christianity did not lead me to open-mindedness because I was an atheist at first, and then my open-mindedness led me to be like, okay, this makes sense. This story of Jesus is true. It has to be true. Therefore, Christianity must be true. So when I was at home, I was running the numbers in my head. I'm like, the science makes sense. It makes sense. I need to talk to somebody who knows science and knows Christianity, not just somebody who's going to tell me, oh, it's whatever. Oh, it's just science, or oh, it's just Christianity.
Yeah.
I need someone who knows both. And my dad he's a strong Christian. He's grew up Christian his whole life, and he's still a Christian to this day. But he has a major in physics, he took a bunch of biology classes, and he has a major in physics and a major in, I think, just astrology. So he has a bunch of science that I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to call him and ask him. But
Get him on the podcast right now.
I'm about to. Honestly, okay, I'm going to do it just so the listeners actually can get some proof here. Call Dad. Wait, hold on. Call Pops.
That's kind
What
of
we do. We fact check our
Yeah.
here. We're not lying to you guys.
You gotta know your sources, Trey.
I know. Wikipedia, man, I can trust it. It's
He
trust.
doesn't
Okay,
answer.
Yeah.
The one time.
He might be
Yeah.
working right now. I really hope he answers.
No,
If not, I'm gonna call my mom and see what she says, because she'll probably know.
I feel like we definitely, for this podcast, we should have come into this with the theme of like science, not versus Christianity,
Science
but
and
science and
Christianity.
Christianity. Like we should have came with.
Are you?
Oh, I thought you answered. I was gonna say we should have came in with more just like scientific evidence along with like biblical evidence.
Yeah, but we also didn't know.
Yeah, we
were gonna
didn't.
go
Yeah,
down
I
this
wasn't
rabbit
really.
hole.
I
It
wasn't.
gives us something to do though. We got to do some research and come back to it.
Yeah,
And
we gotta come back
that's
next
an
week.
angle we should be working on, is how to incorporate both of those.
And
Gosh, this is not making me look good right now. Hey, Mom. I got a quick question for you. I just need your answer really quick. What did Dad major in college, and what other credit hours does he have?
So undergrad, he got a general education diploma.
Okay,
For his master's, he got an MBA,
which is for what?
a master's in
Nationals
business administration.
Basketball
Okay.
Association.
And
Wait,
then,
what was it?
He got his jurisprudence.
I think it's
Or how, I don't know, however you say it.
Didn't he? I thought he had. Didn't he have like a science degree or something to do with science?
No. So his two. His
You lie.
Hold on.
You're
hold
going
on.
to hell, Sandrin.
I
It's
swear
confirmed.
I just
Lying
talked to
is
him
a
and
sin.
he just told me that he took a bunch of physics credit hours and that he also had a degree in biology
No, that's
Astrology.
not true.
or something, a degree in some other science thing.
Astrology.
No. So what he did was he was going for
This guy. Who is this guy?
a bachelor's.
Sandrin's
in
going to hell.
chemistry.
It's confirmed.
Our house burned down.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he had a bunch of chemistry credit hours and a bunch of physics credit hours.
Physics, yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's what I needed right there.
He had to change his degree so that he could graduate.
Awesome. Okay, and he's one of the most sciencey guys you know, right?
I'd say more history. He's like really.
But
good
that's
at
like-
history and math.
You're not helping me out right now
Yeah.
at all.
Erica, he's going to hell. He's
I mean,
going to hell.
I just got done talking to him the other day, and he was saying like that he loves science and still like reads up on science.
But
every
history
single
is
day.
a technically a science.
No, I mean maybe.
Okay. Well, okay. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
No, wait.
Terrible source. I don't think she's right about some of that stuff, but I wish my dad would answer, 'cause he'd be able to
History
tell
is
us.
that's a science. Like studying of history is a form of
It's-
science. It's not
yeah.
like a science
Well,
code
especially
and
with history,
chemicals.
you're able to like be able to say like yeah, this happened, and I can find where it happened at.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. To
So
get
it
out of
is a
this, to
form
get
of
out of
science.
that, yes, he did have a bunch of credit hours in physics, and
So
he
you
has a bunch
lied.
of credit hours in chemistry as well.
You lied.
Yeah, pretty much I lied.
You're going to hell.
And I'm going to hell.
You're going out.
But no, seriously. But he does read up on a lot of science now, and that's just somebody I knew to talk to you about it. So I called him about it, and he was super excited to hear that I was like thinking about this stuff because like he loves to talk about science, he loves to talk about Christianity, and he was telling me that it plays in hand, and that he's like, I've already went through the numbers and a lot of it makes sense. He goes, but when you're looking at the Christianity worldview and science at the same time, you have to credit scientific books and you have to credit the Bible you have to acknowledge the Bible as a historical book.
They use that to find certain
Certain
Places.
places. I've heard that I've seen. Don't ask me where I got it from. It's not Wikipedia this time, but I've seen this is also like they used the Bible. It's like the most historically accurate. Where like if you take out all the miracles and whatnot that happen throughout the book, they still like they'll look at it not in the sense of like how a Christian would like to see all the miracles and crazy things God had an influence on, but they look at this to see all the accurate things that like the kings they never knew existed. They'll go and find this, and then they'll eventually lead it like outside of the Bible. They'll find different like chain of events or chain of people that led to the king that they didn't know existed before they figured it out through this. So that I think that's pretty cool.
The only reason they discredit the Bible is because like they acknowledge scientists. I guess I'm saying they. I wish I had an actual name for it, but
the people with the
the
science
people,
codes.
there's scientists who the reason they discredit. Like if you go on Google and Google is the Bible a historical book, it will say the definition of it is that the Bible the most parts of the Bible are historically accurate, but the reason they don't accept it as a historical book is because the portrayal of Jesus
and the miracles and
the
whatnot.
miracles and supernatural. But it is extremely reliable, and even to historical standards that we hold, like for instance, with most historical books, it needs to be if we have a copy that's been written at least within 200 years of the original copy, then it's considered historical. Yeah. The letters of John were 50 years, some even argue 30 years after the events took place.
Like Jesus?
Yeah, after Jesus. So like, and that's like really good.
Wait.
That's really good for the historical
You said John?
accuracy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what was it? Acts is literally the right after everything took place as well.
But I think John is the argument is John because that one was written. We have obviously we have copies of copies of copies of copies of copies for any historical book, even the Bible. But the we have an almost original copy of specifically the book of John, which is considered the oldest book in the Bible because we have a copy that's so close to the original copy. It's like 50 years off the original copy versus like being 200 or 500 years off the original copy. But so anyway, so I was talking to him and he said that one interesting thing that he always likes to think about, and he told me this, he goes, Sandrin, when you look at science, you got to believe that these scientists, they have to have faith in their science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of changed the perspective a little bit because you think if it's science, it's true automatically. No, you have to have faith in that science. Because like you have no way of like there's some things that we physically cannot, like black holes. We physically cannot like see one with our own eyes. We just have to believe that the science that we have for it, that it's there. So like you have to believe in the science. And he said that one argument that he always gets to think about is we know the speed of light. The speed of light is a certain speed. We know for sure that that's the speed of it. And it takes that long for the light for those stars to meet us. So people are like, the universe we know the age of the universe because we can see how far away the light is. And my dad's like, one theory I have for that is that God wanted us to be able to see the stars. So he just, instead of like making the light travel that distance, he just put the light right there so we could see it because he wants us to see the stars he created. And I was like, okay, I see, like, I can see how you can start incorporating science and Christianity together, piecing it together. Yeah.
No. I just like to disagree.
Okay, Nancy.
I just like to disagree. Yeah, I kind of zoned out. I was looking for something, but it wasn't to do with science.
This guy's going.
This guy.
This guy's going.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Well,
allegedly.
cause like cause the other part that I kind of wanted to, I mean, cause we can make this a whole different video and we don't have to talk about it now about the like I don't know if you heard. Was he here when I was saying what the other part was to be?
I think so.
I don't know.
I think he was.
You
in the
lie.
room.
You're going to. I don't know. You were.
No,
here.
because I went to go lock the door while everyone was in here and you were
I
talking.
really hope my dad calls me back now because I just feel like.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Gosh,
You're going.
I gotta give you guys the truth.
He's got to validate himself.
About like
Yeah.
the how into. Oh yeah, you were here because you said you're not good at it. How to deal with or how to stay strong in your faith, like
Oh, yeah.
going through hardships or whatever. Which, I mean, we can leave.
I'm good at doing it. I'm bad at teaching people how to do it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Just to
yeah.
clarify.
Yeah,
I can do
that
it,
made it.
yeah,
Yeah, made me have a different perspective. But like, cause we can save this for a different video, or we can briefly talk about it.
Let's just all go through, and I think we should just go and give our own different definition of what we think that looks like, or something we could tell somebody to
Like-
help them with it.
As our own personal experiences, how I would offer advice.
Both, whatever, or both.
Okay. Well,
Whatever
because
works for you.
the thing is, there's a difference between, in my opinion, staying strong in your faith during hard trials and whatnot versus staying in your faith. Because you can still believe in God, but be like, I'm not going to name names, but handle it completely differently, where you're going out and doing things a Christian should not be doing because you're depressed or whatever the case is. You can handle it that way and still believe God is real, go to church and whatnot. Or you can stay strong and almost, I don't like to say the word consistent, but that's the only word right now that's popping up, but stay consistent in your faith and stay like by being, or like when I think of my consistency, I think of like still making sure I give time to talk to God, to pray to God, to read his word and like listen to his worship. Like that's to me staying strong and staying consistent. Like if I'm going through some crap, I want to stay consistent and strong
So
in
what's your
that.
piece of advice to help somebody to stay consistent?
Um,
What's some stuff you do throughout the day to just keep on
keep on trucking.
Yeah.
Keep on keeping on.
I try to. I think the easiest thing
Mm.
to stay consistent.
So like you're talking to a crowd of people right now, you're gonna give them some good advice, like.
It just depends. Like I have to really get a read on what person I'm talking about, because like if I'm talking to a whole bunch of lazy people, like you were saying how you would tell people to do it, like that's not something you would tell someone who's a lazy person, like to just be a.
That's why I'm bad.
Yeah,
that's why I'm bad at
exactly.
giving advice about
So like depending on if it was someone I could tell, like when I was talking to Brady, it's like it depends. If I'm talking to someone who's like an athlete, someone who works out, who like
it. How about just your
strives
average
for
Joe?
more.
Just average Joe.
Well, an average Joe could still want to strive for more, but some don't. Like that's the thing. If I'm talking to someone who's completely lazy, and I'm trying to tell them how to stay strong, you can't be lazy and complacent when you're in your faith. I
That's good.
I can't
Good.
correlate the two. So I don't see anyone that's if I was talking to a non-believer, I would just purely continue to point to scriptures that were wrote, like I said, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, or not hundreds, but thousands of years ago that are still used to this day by people, like regardless of how society, because everyone can agree, science can agree that today's standards today, how everything goes on today wasn't the same 50 years ago, 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or when Jesus was walking. But those people, the way Jesus told us to handle things then when he was walking, people still use to this day.
Mm-hmm.
What are you smiling for?
I'm just laughing because the question.
Wait, did I not answer it? My bad. I was just talking. My bad.
Like, yeah, you're good. You're good. It's like you okay. So like, okay, I'm just gonna make it short and sweet. So what? So give me something that you do on the daily that helps you stay consistent in your faith, and then after you give me that answer, then give me an answer about a piece of advice that you would give our audience to that. For someone who maybe is having trouble being consistent, what would you give them to do?
Okay, so for me, I just purely it seems like a vague answer, but I just make sure I'm staying consistent, and I make sure I surround myself not with just people, but things that are gonna keep me on track and not distract me. Which sometimes no one in here is perfect. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I will unintentionally distract myself, not thinking of it as a distraction until later on I realize, hey, that just kept me busy or kept my mind busy when that's not what I needed to do. And then that'll also help me the next few hours or next day go forward, making sure that's not a part of my life or like part of my time that's being taken up because I know it distracts me. So staying consistent, making sure I'm doing what I do when I feel at my highest of like my faith in him. I try to always make sure I'm doing that, but I don't want to just like say I read certain amount of chapters. I talk to him a certain amount of time, and how many times I do it, and I go and tell people about God. If I do that when I'm at my lows through struggles, just because I knew back then it was making me feel better, and I'm kind of just copying and pasting it, I won't have that still authentic relationship. So I kind of add a twist to it to where I still feel like I'm doing it for a reason other than just because I used to
Bro,
do
it's
it.
literally just like lifting. What you do on those days you don't feel like
Mm.
lifting,
Or when you grow the
what
most.
are going to determine what your progress looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And
Like
so,
that.
yeah. And then for telling people who are struggling with staying consistent, I kind of just want to ask, like, are you okay with staying where you are, regardless of if it's in your faith or if it's in a career or in your physical body? Like, are you generally, you have to ask yourself, are you okay with being where you are or going down from,
Plain and
like,
simple. Are you
yeah.
okay with where you're
And
at?
like
No.
that sounds like
Change.
rude, but like you said,
That's
tough
how it is.
tough love is
yeah.
better than being nice
People
to
get
you.
niceness and love mixed up. Just because you're nice does not mean that you love that
Exactly.
person.
And
Yeah,
so
like that.
Your
I'll ask
other
him
best
simply.
quality that you're missing is like you love to challenge people.
Yeah, that is true. Because like I like to
That's what you
like
do.
people. I like to also surround myself with people, even if I don't know them. You can kind of eventually get a sense or a gist of what they are and what they stand for. And like I like giving, like he was saying, every person I kind of talk about God and they actually believe, even if they're not strong. Like I was just talking to a girl yesterday that I was at the coffee shop and I challenged her to, I don't know her personally and I don't know how well she is in her faith. I just know she's not like as much as I would say myself is, but I still challenged her as a Christian to go talk about God to other people. And like that challenging someone, you kind of not, you feel like you need to do it, but not in a sense. Like I do it, I challenge, I guess, people to not feel, oh, I'm obligated because this dude wants me to do it. I challenge them in hopes that they'll feel like a drive in themselves and like they want to go and complete this and see, and hopefully after they've completed this so-called challenge or whatever I try to give them advice on, they'll see how they feel about it and stay consistent in that.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Good. Yeah.
That was long, I'm sorry.
You good.
Huddy, you haven't talked much, so I want to hear yours. I need it to be twice as
On
long.
the spot.
Twice as long?
Yeah.
We were literally just talking about this.
Oh, yeah,
You had a
really?
great answer.
Oh, yeah.
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 We used to do
You're
this
right,
all the time
you're
to
right.
him in youth group.
Okay.
Make him, yeah.
We put him
On
on,
how-
the spot.
Can you
So-
restate the questions real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah. So
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, what do you do throughout the day to help you stay consistent? Like, what are your things you do throughout the day to be consistently trying to be consistent in your faith? And then if you could give a piece of advice for people who are struggling with it, what would that piece of advice be? So part A and part B.
Alright.
There's no wrong answers
I know.
until you go.
So one way I try to stay consistent is pray at least twice a day for me. It could be different for like anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Try to listen to worship music as much as possible, give praise to him whenever I can, and then read at least one chapter in the book that I'm reading in the Bible.
Jeez, yeah, that's better than me. I struggle reading sometimes, so.
Oh, I do too.
I don't like to read, so that's my problem. But we're getting around to it.
And then one piece of advice that I'd give to somebody on how to stay consistent.
Mhm.
Not even stay consistent. I think that might have been the wrong word. Like stay strong in their faith.
Stay strong
Did I
in
say
your faith.
consistent?
No, I don't. Maybe I.
I don't know.
I think
Attention.
that's what you did, but it's
Yeah, I was
I
saying
said consistent.
that's how I was saying how I stay strong is my consistency. So it might have gotten mixed up. So yeah.
So stay strong in faith.
Yeah.
Just continually praise him. Don't stop. If you stop, then it's like when you're running or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you're starting to hurt.
Ooh, I like that. When your body's telling you.
You're starting to hurt, but then if you stop, it's gonna hurt more, and then
Mhm.
you're not gonna want to start back up again.
Mhm.
So you just gotta press through it. Yeah, you're not gonna go again. You're not gonna be at the same speed you were going at.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yep.
All right.
Wait,
Ready? So first question is, how do I stay consistent?
strong,
And
not
how
consistent.
do I stay strong? My bad.
Gosh.
Trey's point was just so good, it just got mixed in.
Yeah, I know.
For sure.
Honestly, everyone get on your knees
Whoa.
And praise the Lord.
and praise the Lord.
Praise the
Ooh,
Lord.
before
What are
you
you thinking of,
before
bro?
you
I was trying to
yeah.
figure out
of?
why we gotta go to
Yeah,
our knees,
no,
bro.
sure.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, before you start, I do want to say, like, praising him and stuff, like, it kept popping up, but then right before you were, I wanted to let you finish, but
Okay.
then after you were done, I forgot about it, but then it just came back up. So, like,
Say it.
so, like, a lot of people, especially if they're not deep into it, they kind of misunderstand or they miss the point of it. Like, when you're giving praise and when you're praying, you shouldn't just be doing this in hopes to get something out of it. Because then
No.
when he doesn't have something, it cut off, so we had to repeat it. Like, you're going to hell. Anyways, so yeah, like he was saying, we need to understand that we should give him praise and we should pray to him without expecting things in return. Without, well, if I stay consistent and praising him for an hour a day and praying for 15 minutes a day, I should be getting everything I hope and dream for, everything I pray and ask for. You shouldn't just talk to him to get things out of it.
He's not a genie.
Yeah, he's not a genie. Exactly. He's not a genie God. That's not the God we are serving.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's just what I wanted to talk about. And then, so, do you want me to say what you were talking about with your hands or your wristband?
That's up to you. I mean, you can, sure.
So, he's going to talk about it more, but, like, he mentioned that he has the bracelet and the cross to, like, look at whenever he sees himself or whenever other people see, they can see that he is rocking Jesus and he's taking it like this. He's in it. He's not 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of person. He's in it, and that's why he's representing. Yeah, you can't represent. That's why I never really cared and understood why people like at our schools, like the administrators and everything, they're like, you are wearing Delta's jersey to go play. Say you're playing basketball, you're wearing Delta, so you need to represent us well. And I was always like, I don't really care. It's just me. I don't like.
Now you get it though.
Now I get why they're like, you are wearing that. You are not sponsoring, but you are showing people where you are from and what you stand for.
And what the biggest sin that God talks about? Blasphemy.
Blasphemy, exactly. So,
Representation.
but yeah, that's why, because I have
Just
tattoos.
because you wear something like this doesn't mean like
I was
you
about
better
to say
that.
speed. You
Just
better not stop at a stop sign when wearing that.
No,
cross.
no, wait. Well, what were you, yeah,
But some people are like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this just because I feel like it. And
Yeah.
it's like,
for the
okay,
aesthetic.
but yeah,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
aesthetic, but it's like
Yeah.
it's a lukewarm.
Yeah.
Like you're a lukewarm.
I
Yeah.
know a lot of lukewarm Christians
Yeah.
that wear crosses and stuff, and
You
it's.
said you're not a lukewarm.
I never said I was.
Hey, no, but I
But-
get what you mean, because a lot of people do literally just wear it and they don't really take on the full burden, not burden, because it's not a bad thing, but
They
like
don't take on the full weight.
the full weight of his
Yeah.
glory, huh, Dab. But no, and I wear that's why when I was getting tattoos, I've been wanting my back piece to cover my whole back that has God on it or Jesus. But when I was doing it, I was like, I can't put anything. I didn't even want to put a cross on my body or anything that symbolized him without, because I believed in God, but I wasn't ready to give my life to him. And so me having that and letting people see God represented by me, but I'm acting the way I shouldn't be acting as a Christian. If I'm glad I really didn't, because I would have given a bad name for who God is and what he stands for and what his people stand for.
That makes me want to talk about the churches. Remember I was talking to you about the churches and
Yeah.
people just coming in and out, and makes me want to
Yeah.
talk about that. But we've already been on
Yeah.
for an hour.
No, we'll talk about that soon. I'll add that to my notes to talk
Yeah,
about.
we'll have to make like a group chat of just us four because we've kind of been
Mm.
meeting
Yeah.
people and just bring up like.
Well, is the Dates of
these
Jesus?
topics.
Are all of them welcome to be on the podcast?
No, yeah, they just
Yeah,
We should
haven't.
just talk about it in the Dates of Jesus podcast, then, because if they're gonna be joining sometime soon, then might as well.
I mean, anybody is welcome to come.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
already talked to a few people that we want on here. Caleb
Yeah.
has somebody that he wants on.
Sandra, whenever you have someone you want to bring,
Yeah.
just
Michael wanted to maybe come on.
I'd have Michael on. That'd
Yeah,
be cool.
he's really
You need to get your
knowledgeable.
dad on here.
I do want to get my dad. That'd be awesome to get him on here.
Yeah.
Cool.
But-
we gotta
vouch for me that he likes science. I promise.
I promise, please.
He has
Please
knowledge.
believe me.
Okay.
The only
No.
thing when it comes to that is there's no way we're sharing.
No, yeah,
different
we'll
mics between all
we'll
those
get more
people.
mics
Yeah.
at that
So we
point.
gotta get another hub and
Yeah.
some more mics.
Well, the thing is, you can fit
I
what?
can fit
you
six
can
on my
fit
laptop.
4 plus 2. Yeah, so 6. We can have 6 mics in total, and I
Well,
mean,
got,
How much was one of those ball mics?
20. You can get them used
I
for like
got
20.
that on
Okay.
Facebook.
20
Marketplace,
bucks?
like 20.
Yeah.
I got this one for 35.
They're
Really?
Oh,
for
okay,
on
I'll go
Facebook.
That's
buy a
crazy.
couple of them.
I
But
thought these would
It's
be
not
more.
20 bucks.
No,
when they're
it's
new,
more.
they're
The
like
only
$40,
issue is-
$50.
Oh, shit.
Once I bought those two, they were like no
Okay.
more like that in Muncie.
You'd have to go to like
like an
Indy,
hour.
yeah.
I'm sure I can find something.
But there's some that are a little bit better, that are also
Blue.
those, but
They're called the blue snow. No, these are
they're like the
snowballs.
blue
Yeah,
mics,
these
but they're like
snowballs.
real mics.
Yetis.
Those
That's
are
what they're
like
called.
We need to get the little
40.
shirt mics. I feel like we need to get one of those.
Yeah,
Those little
be
clip-ons.
nice.
The clip-ons.
But what were you saying? How do you stay strong in your faith?
Oh yeah, just like you were talking about having these little reminders all around, but also like I was saying, when I'm in the shower, I feel like I'm at my most vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, and for like some advice, just find where you can be your most open and sharing that with God and sharing that time, because He's gonna meet you right where you are.
Mhm.
And I think that when you're most open is when you'll have the best mindset sometimes. So it's just a time to really be like, okay, I'm here. I'm ready to listen for whatever you have for me. I think that's
I can
just,
see where you're coming from.
Wearing crosses, I also feel like, is like a physical representation of you picking up your cross and then following Jesus.
okay.
Give me some. That actually, I was not thinking. I did not know
Hudson,
where you
don't
were.
even talk
I didn't know
half
where you
the
were
time,
going
but when
from.
you do, you drop bombs.
I didn't know where you were going with that at first, and then that's
Thought he was about to
good.
go back to lukewarm.
Yeah, that is
Drop the
good. That is good.
That's a good point.
I'll drop my mic.
Cause yeah,
I feel like you have to have that mindset behind it though, because some people wear crosses and they don't have that mindset.
Yeah.
That you're-
But if you have that mindset with it,
Mhm.
that's exactly what it means. That's awesome.
that is yeah. So now you.
Now everyone just
Yeah,
wants to go
nah.
buy crosses.
All right, so
The liar.
Wrong.
um,
Don't listen
what I
to
do
him.
to stay strong in my faith. I guess the things I'd practice every single day is acknowledging temptations as they are, acknowledging sin as
Okay.
they are, and just being open-minded and knowledgeable. So I'm not the best at it. Don't get me wrong, but I try to identify temptation and sin as soon as it comes across my path. If you can do those basic things and stay away from sin, that's going to get you a lot farther than just trying to like just like it's different though, because you can just I like how you say that you pray every single day, at least twice a day, and read at least a chapter.
Yep.
And that would be, I try to do that too, but something that really helps me, because I could still do that and then still at the end of the
Go
night
sin.
go sin at
Go
the end of
sin,
the
yeah.
night, and I'm like, that's not being strongest version of myself and my faith. So I think in order to have a strong basis of faith, whether you're reading or not reading or praying or not praying, that strong basis that's a must have is avoiding sin. That's the basis.
Yep.
Like that
Recognizing it, avoiding it.
You could be more
Yeah.
righteous than the pastor if you're not sinning and that pastor is sinning all the time.
As long
Even
as-
though he
yeah.
knows more and he reads more than you,
Mhm.
you could still be closer to God just because you're avoiding sin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
God doesn't
Yeah.
want to be around sin.
Nope.
He says he hates sin and he doesn't want to be around it. So I honestly think that knowledge is a lot, but it's not everything. But staying away from sin and trying your hardest, that's kind of what I do every day to be strong in my faith.
Can I
Now-
add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like what you're saying is very good, to recognize sin, go the other way of sin. A lot of people struggle with what you're saying. You just will try to avoid it at all costs. Some people really they just can't wrap their mind around how to get out of it, even though they recognize what's causing them to lead down the path to sin. They don't want to take that step of being out of the norm. Like they don't, like you always say, going against the grain. They don't want to go against the grain to avoid stepping into a potential sinful area or sin action through themselves. And doing that, having that kind of guideline or baseline is really good to have. But at the end of the day, we're not saved. Like we all of us know we're saved by grace, not by faith or by works. But like, if we're just not sinning, but we have no real relationship with him, like it says, I generally, this is how I see it in Revelation when he says, "Depart from me, for I never knew you." Just because you avoided sin your whole life and you told other people, hey, be a Christian and whatnot, if you don't have an authentic relationship with him, that does not matter.
That's a good point.
And so, like, I think it's a lot easier to not have to, like, represent God badly if you are recognizing sin and avoiding it at all costs, regardless if you're reading as much as the pastor is or praying as much. But if you are doing, like, if you really are just not sinning because you are able to recognize it, if you can't sit down though and actually not just hear his voice audibly, but like have a conversation with him without it having to, you don't have to think of it as prayer or reading the Bible or anything, but like you have to have that to acknowledge and recognize and avoid sin, but also have
You're
a
totally
relationship.
right. 100%
Yeah.
right. Totally right. So that's why the basis of my everyday is just avoiding sin.
Mhm.
Because like I said, some days I'm sure there's other people out there like that, but I don't feel some days like reading every single day.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
Gosh dang it, there's another-
maybe I
sorry.
forgot what was it.
Burglar.
A burglar.
Someone's breaking in the church.
Burglar.
Probably.
It happened in the
Jeez.
first video too.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
And then Trey goes, "We thought you were a killer," and the guy goes, "Haha." And Trey locked the door.
Yeah,
so
they
quick.
never said anything. He just
just like a robotic ha-ha.
yeah, he
Yeah.
giggled.
Trey
Trey was
Terminator.
like, "I'm still gonna lock the door." He laughed about it.
Yikes. But so crap, what was I saying? Completely forgot.
No, your
avoiding sin
baseline.
is the
Avoiding
avoiding
sin is the basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't always feel like reading or always feel like praying, but you are 100% right, and that Bible verse does stick with me. Like, imagine working your whole life thinking you're being faithful and that you're being righteous and that you're avoiding sin your whole life. Then you get up there and he's just like, I don't even know who you are.
Just because you did what I told you to do
Yeah.
doesn't mean I had a relation. Yeah.
So, but to answer for the question's sake, what do I do? What do I do every day to keep my faith strong? Is I practice avoiding sin. That's my basis. Now I will go out of the ordinary. I will go above, not even above and beyond. I think it's expected, but I will go pray and read my Bible as well. But that's just a nice basis to generally speaking throughout the day.
What?
How long do y'all think it takes to build a relationship with God?
It's
Not that
different.
it takes like a certain amount of time.
I think it's
On a
different.
different walk.
That's a vague question. How long does it take to just build? Because it's your whole life, really. I feel
Like, what do you guys classify as a relationship with God? How's that?
Okay, I would say, probably. Okay, I would say you guys are both.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Holy crap! Every time you speak, it's just bars every time. So I think what signifies that relationship is you're getting action from both sides. So
Mm.
Okay.
I'm doing physical action for him
Yeah.
out of the day, and he's
He's
blessing
always-
me.
yeah.
Blessing
He's
you
doing
back.
something back for me, and I think
Okay.
that establishes that connection. It's an objective truth. We're both doing something
Yeah.
in that relationship.
So do you
Okay.
do you guys think though, like, because what you're saying is very true. We have to give back. The way I see it, he's always giving towards me. He's always, even if I don't believe in him, he's always protecting me.
Yeah.
He's always here listening to me. He's always trying to talk to me. I think it becomes a relationship once you start reciprocating. Because I feel like he's always giving
Yeah.
and like doing things for me, but I never until I really.
Oh, I like that.
Like-
I was about to hit you with the.
I was
I was about to say that it's there's levels to it. Like
Mhm.
God, like yeah, He does the everyday things, but like there's some things where it's like that was God.
Yeah.
That could not be explained other than God.
Mhm.
But that makes sense. I think you're 100% right. Where it starts when you start reciprocating, because He does do stuff every single day. When you start reciprocating it and you're doing stuff for it, that's because
That's
He's already
when,
done enough.
yeah.
He's already done enough.
That's when, yeah, you're in.
I
That's
think another
when-
thing is, like, if you look at just relationships in general, you have parasitic and mutual.
Mhm.
So I feel like the lukewarms and people that don't
Are
really,
parasitic.
yeah,
Parasitic?
that don't
Like,
What do
really,
you mean?
They just leech
like
off
they
of.
just
Leech
leech
off of
on
people.
and just
Oh, okay,
take
okay.
and take and take.
Yeah.
But
I feel like we're
like,
giving the lukewarm Christians a bad rep right now. I feel like we're just.
No,
I mean,
it's
yeah.
not. Well, the thing is, like,
It's-
it's not
it's
being,
been
it's not
and the
being
others,
mean.
though.
It's just
Okay.
that's tough love. I would
It
rather
is
much
tough
be
love.
someone explain to me how I'm being a lukewarm Christian, because at the end of the day, Jesus is talking in
You
Revelations,
know what?
He'll
You're right.
spit out
There's
the
tough love and
lukewarm.
love. You're right,
and like
100%.
if I would much rather someone bring up and actually make me realize I'm being a lukewarm, because it's better than nothing. Like
You know what? It's a
but
bad
at the
thing.
same time, it's
a
not.
bad thing. It should be not talked good about being a lukewarm Christian.
Yeah,
You're
like
right.
it's
well, especially if there's someone that's a lukewarm right now and watches this video and they're like, "Dang, dude, that's just me."
That's
like,
me, yeah.
I
Yeah.
hear it entirely, and it's like maybe it'll make them figure something out.
Yeah.
Maybe
Right.
they'll move to
strive for more.
reciprocating
Yeah.
relationship with
100%.
God and make it mutual. But
That's why I want
right
to have
now,
a
you're
lukewarm
just
Christian.
leeching on and you're accepting what He's giving you
Yeah.
every day that you
And
wake up. You're accepting that, and you're
you're
not
not
even thinking.
you're not
about it. You're just
appreciative
like,
of
uh-uh.
it. You're just
You're
expected
just like,
of it.
I woke up and I'm so tired, but I gotta go do all these things, and it's like God woke you up, bro.
Yeah.
God lets you have all those.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You have a car, you made it to where you can drive. God let that happen. God protected you all these years.
You have two arms
To
and
this
two
day.
legs, bro. Like, what
For
do
You
you
real.
can see, you can
Yeah.
speak, yeah. And even if you don't have one of those things, like, you are alive. Not everyone is able to say that they're
Uh-huh.
dead. A lot of people are dead right
Yeah.
now that woke up, they didn't wake up. You got to. So that's one more blessing you have to just understand and take into account and truly appreciate. But
For sure.
what was
I gotta
either?
give my piece of advice now.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it was. Someone had.
I'd have
So,
to stay strong.
My piece of advice, which I'm not. This isn't gonna be. This is the best advice I can give. So, the best advice I'd give to people who are trying to stay consistent, normally I would just say, just do it. Just don't be a wimp. But to give a better piece
PG
of advice,
version,
I
yeah.
would say something that really helps is do a life audit of yourself. Always do a life audit. Like, sit back and because the thing is the reason people, I feel like this is true, I'm still working on this as well. People go to sin because there's a hole. There's a hole, there's a
Yeah.
void, and they want to fill it with
Mhm.
earthly things and sinful things. So instead of, when you feel like, you just take a second and see if you're filling that hole.
Wait,
If you're filling
pause.
the hole with sinful things.
I think a lot of people, like you were saying, they do fill that hole.
Mm.
I don't think a lot of people, especially if they're not a Christian or even if they're lukewarm, they don't really recognize I'm filling it with sinful things or worldly things, because those terms aren't ever spoken. They hear it all the time from these religious people, but they don't ever really
They don't
understand. They don't understand and comprehend the weight of what that means, filling it up with worldly
And
things or
that's what leads to
sinful
depression,
things.
because they don't understand that those things are not good for them, and they're filling
And
it
it's
up with
temporary.
bad things. And that's why the depression rates are so high right now, is because people don't even realize that you're filling it with stuff that's earthly and sinful.
Yep.
But I would just say a piece of advice is do a life audit. Always be checking and making sure that, like, am I doing my things? Don't look at subjective truths. Look at objective truths. Things that are in your face true. Like, have I been praying lately? No, I haven't. Did I drink 2 weekends in a row? Like, did I look at things that you've been doing objectively and see, like, are those things that are good, or are those things that are not so good? And just be on top of those things and look at things as they are objectively, not subjectively, which is a major problem nowadays. And I believe that there's a major agenda going on nowadays in society that's like, believe in your own subjective truths. People are pushing, like, believe in your own subjective truths, and it's like, no. Don't believe. Your own understanding is nothing. Like, look at the objective truths, which are that, killing is bad, this is bad, this is, like, those are objective truths. Don't listen to what you feel like. And I feel like that's what Earth tries to push on us nowadays. Think what you believe. So
So you're saying, like, check yourself once in a
Before
while.
you wreck yourself.
Step back, look aside, because,
You
like,
better check
Katie,
yourself.
my girlfriend, she was just telling me that she was like she was feeling a little bit like unmotivated and just like down lately, and I was like, okay, well, let's just do a life check really quick. Have you been drinking water today? Have you been going to church? Did we go to church last week? Have you been doing this? She's like, no. She's like, but I don't think that's the problem. I go, that doesn't matter if you think it's the problem. If you subjectively feel like that's not the problem, that doesn't mean anything. Objectively speaking, if that stuff's going to help you, you need to do it. It's the same thing as eating your vegetables. You're like, like, oh, I feel so, like, my stomach hurts. I just ate a bunch of candy, my stomach hurts. But, like, they're like, dude, because you ate all that candy, you need to eat some vegetables. They're like, I don't feel like vegetables is the problem. Doesn't matter. Objectively speaking, it is the problem. You need to do the objective things.
And that's a podcast for its own self. Having
We're
equally
getting
yoked.
For real.
I think I have that on my
Yeah.
notes, but like equally yoked relationships surrounded by you, because that you can't have, like you're saying, you can't have people, and sometimes it's good to be able to hold yourself accountable, but when you have people that you can trust, that you can be vulnerable with, that are holding you also accountable, where like, it's not being mean. If I'm like, hey, you haven't read in the past few months, like, let's pick up that Bible and get to reading, because you're struggling to hear his voice. Like you said, that's objective. You're like, well, I haven't been hearing his voice. Have you been in his word, understanding how he speaks to you?
And I could be like, no, but
That's not the
I don't
problem.
think that's the answer.
Yeah.
It's like,
because
no,
you want a
that
simple
is-
answer.
That's literally the
And
answer right there.
you can't find people, if you are surrounded by people who don't care, like they don't have that same desire. Like, say I'm hanging around a whole bunch of people who don't believe in God. They're like, well, you got it, you'll figure out. Or they'll give an answer that they know because they live in the world. So that's why this could
They'll
be a
be
whole
like,
nother
You
podcast.
have God, you got it.
Yeah,
It's
like,
fine.
yeah,
You'll
your
figure it
God
out.
can take care of this. But like, that's why this will be a whole nother topic, because I would love to talk and get not just to us four or whoever's on it, but to the people who are watching, what it really, how valuable and how important it is to have equally yoked people. And that doesn't mean because I'm this far in my spiritual journey, I need someone who's this far or above. It just means anyone who's anywhere in that spectrum who's going to help me stay accountable.
Which is
But-
why I love what we're doing.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
something I want to add to that before we change the subject. I want to say that lean into. I'm going to leave off with this. I'm going to say, lean into the objective truths, not the subjective truths. Lean into God's understanding, not your own understanding.
That's a bar.
And there
That's
you
a
go.
bar.
There you go.
But also, I guess it's kind of bringing a different subject, but you were talking about earlier how people have that hole in them and they always try to fill it up with worldly things. Like it literally says, John 4:14 or 13, actually, my bad. Everyone who drinks this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst.
Yep.
And
Living
and
water.
because
biblical,
Yep.
biblical scripture. to
biblical,
back it up.
but the thing is, like, that can be applied with anything. I don't, when I hear this and whenever I read it, I don't think of, oh, if I drink water that God would have given me himself, I wouldn't be thirsty. I think of, like you said, people fill up their hole, that emptiness they feel with things from this world. That water, that well that girl was trying to get water from was from this world. It wasn't from God or Jesus himself. So that's why she constantly had to go back and get more water, because she was always thirsty from the water, from the thing she was trying to get from this world to satisfy. And so when people are filling up this emptiness they feel with, whether it's drugs, money, women, cars, like whatever you're using to fill that void of emptiness with, if it's not surrounded and based around God, it'll fill you for a second. It might not even feel good when you fill it, and afterwards, like, it's gonna like leak back out.
There's nothing of this world that's worth living for. That's what Dave always says. He goes, "There's nothing of this world that's worth living for." So anything that's came from this world, and people are like that doesn't mean like love. Love is from God. God created that, but like earthly thing, like Bugattis, that's of this world. That's not worth living.
No.
for.
I don't know. I think God
I don't
made
know,
a.
Andrew Tate seems to think that it's
What color is your Bugatti? Yeah, you would
Yeah.
say that if you don't have a Bugatti.
Yeah.
I don't like earthly things.
No,
like,
but and like the way because I kind of do visualize things, especially when it comes to like just God and stuff, and like honestly anything. Like it makes it easier for me to understand people when people are talking, or even when I'm saying stuff out loud. Like, I picture everything going on, and so when I think of, especially when I was reading this, like him saying, whatever, like, the water you drink from this well, you'll thirst again, but when you drink from me, you'll never thirst again. So I think of like a styrofoam cup or any type of cup, and there's water already in it from just like your essential things, and there's probably like another half, or even if it's like a fourth, that still needs filled for the cup to be full, and there's a hole in that cup, but I kind of had to visualize it. So
like it's at the top.
so
when
like
it-
say this is the whole water, and there is a hole up here. So all this stuff that is like already full, it's not going to leak out.
Yeah.
Once you fill it up to here with these things of the world, there's a hole right here, so it's going to leak back down. But I think when you start like leading on things that are coming from God himself, when you fill up that water, I almost think of like what is the freaking thing? He has a commercial Flex Seal, like, dude. He's like, he's so like,
slaps it
he
on.
like cuts a boat in half, and then he can go and drive. Like, I think that when you fill this up, it's almost like you're putting Flex Seal on that hole, and then no water fills out. You might overflow it, which is a good thing, because then when you're overflowing it, obviously physics, the stuff that gets added to the top is going to come back out. But I think of it as the more you fill it up with God, the stuff that's down here that's already that's always there from the world, I visualize that's the thing that comes out instead of.
I'm seeing like when it starts to overflow, that's you expressing outwardly and talking to other people about like, hey, this is what's going on.
filling somebody else's cup.
Yeah.
Someone else's.
Bars.
It's like you see. So back to that. Say you have this, and you have like 4 of these on each side. Once you start to overflow, that water can go anywhere, and it can fill
Other
many
people's-
cups that are around at once.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
That's
Okay.
actually cool. I like to see it different. This is why I'm saying, like, I want us to have different opinions, because like I wouldn't have saw it that way, but now seeing that helps me also visualize I'm filling other people's cups by having my stuff. I can't fill up other people's cups, like you said, if I'm not full myself.
Yeah.
And like you could always help by giving and giving your own, but like at some point you're gonna run out of your own
That's
water.
also a good basis for maintaining a good Christian relationship too. It's
Yep.
like you have to have that belief in yourself and in God. You have to have that
Foundation.
You have to have that foundation, that cup being filled. If you want others to rely on you, you got to be able to rely on yourself, kind of.
I could find it. I don't. We want to wrap this up, so I don't want to look it up and then find it in scripture.
Yeah.
But he's talking about like there's people who will set their foundation on a like
I
the
love
rock,
that.
the hill, and
On
like
the hill.
Yeah.
or like if it's not in the firm, like I just think of it. I can either set my house on sand where there's waves that are constantly pushing up against the sand. There's no concrete that's holding that house into the sand. It's just sand and then wood. That's how I see it.
Same for bodybuilding too.
Yeah,
If you want to be in shape in your 40s, you got to build that foundation.
Exactly, and you have to have a strong foundation. You
Yeah.
can't just like Ronnie Coleman. He had a strong foundation, but he also was not safe, and he didn't ego it because he was doing it, but like he lifted, and like his foundation is broken. Like he has a concrete spine right now
It's not
because
gonna
like,
talk about Brady.
but so I think of it as
Christ is
like,
my firm
I can set it in sand where if I try to house other people, I have the risk of them. If there's a giant wave that comes by, it's going to take that whole house with it.
Yep.
But if I have a concrete tower that is just concrete, like that's a lot stronger than sand. That wave comes and I can house other people. I can help other people and not have to worry about myself running out. Like you said, the strong foundation. That's how I see it.
That's why pastors have the biggest responsibility, and because they've got so many people relying on
You
their
have to build
foundation.
that foundation.
They have so many people, and
Excuse me.
they could literally send a group of thousands of people to hell because their foundation's not good.
And so
Shout out my pastors out there.
So to go with that though, because I know we've talked about like how you see the church and whatnot. I generally
which is a whole conversation.
Oh,
we gotta
whole-
get
yeah,
into.
yeah.
Whole other one.
Another podcast.
exactly no. I know. Just to leave it off though, like I don't feel like it's purely like it is very good to help have the church be accountable and like that the pastor
No,
he
stop,
should
stop.
wait
We're not talking about this right now.
wait
Yeah, that's what I'm
I'm
trying
just
to say,
saying
bro.
I'm just saying
No,
Because
no.
I'm gonna have to add on. To
I know wait no talking no one else talking no one else
This is
wait
gonna
no one else
Hey,
can
I
talk.
promise you.
Listen.
Whenever you gotta say, I'm gonna add on to. it.
No
You're gonna
talking.
spiral.
This is just me.
Okay.
This is my truth say that came up
Just
when
say,
you mentioned it.
don't talk too deep into it though, because I do
Okay.
want to talk about that at a different podcast.
Yeah.
If you're purely relying on the pastor to get God from, that's the same way with relying on because my grandparents and my mom forced me into church, I'm a Christian, I'm going to heaven, or wherever, like we're going, I'm going to be with Jesus forever just because there was a video I just saw about secondhand smoke that during the 80s and 90s that was a very big, like it was always on commercials and radio stations, whatever, how secondhand smoke is killing people.
Oh.
And when you get secondhand Jesus from whether it's your parents that are forcing you to go to church, your grandparents who are super religious, or the pastor because he knows all this stuff and he has a good relationship, you're getting that secondhand Jesus. That's not a relationship. So that's all I want to rely. That's all. That's all.
So go back to
Nope.
like,
No more. No.
No, no.
That's good.
No more.
You didn't go too far into it because if you did, I was gonna have to start talking about.
No, I just want to go back to the
He's like
firm foundations.
one more word. No, freaking.
So build my life by house fires. At the end of the song, it gets very sentimental, very serious, pretty slow, and it starts saying, "Leave me in your love, and I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken."
Ooh.
I wrote that.
Yeah.
I remember.
Your
No.
house fires.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think this was a good podcast. I feel
I
like
think this
Oh,
was
yeah.
good.
Definitely
We got some more research to do.
Definitely more
research.
I want us to start being more.
we need to prepare.
thorough, and I want us to have
Yeah.
more facts to provide for them, so that
And
for
ourselves, yeah.
Because it's good to always have we can say that belief is a lot, but having proof behind it too also
Helps
a lot.
people
So,
like
for
us who are
sure.
logical. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got to get our topics down before.
We need to.
way before,
yeah.
so we can start doing research.
So
before.
I think we start doing it where Monday or Tuesday we're like, hey, what do we want to do?
Yeah.
we should know by Wednesday at the latest.
And we should have
Well,
information
because Wednesday,
Thursday,
the video
Friday,
comes
Saturday.
out, I think Wednesday should be like get the video out, get some research done for the next topic
And I say we continue to research until
until Sunday.
and it doesn't have to spend. We don't have to spend our entire day researching.
Yeah.
But you gotta get if we care about this podcast and care about reaching these people and ourselves, we need to at least give it a few.
real.
Even if it's a few minutes
For sure.
at a certain time. We
Yeah,
got.
and
Who doesn't like knowledge? I like to learn new things,
I know.
especially when it's about my faith.
you
I know.
have to be a learner every day,
Yeah.
otherwise you're not gonna grow.
But yeah.
I found
Another good podcast idea
For
too.
sure.
It's good.
I found a website back when we were doing the Bible study. They have printable papers out, so I can get on there. They have a bunch of topics.
Really?
I can bring them up to you.
Mhm.
We can print out papers, give them to everyone that's here.
So we
that's
can-
just another direction that we can go with this.
But-
So
Alright.
I'm really excited.
Sweet.
Hudson, you talked more. I feel like you should have talked. You talked more. You added a lot of
He
value.
said a lot
He
by
had no.
saying less.
Yes,
He said a
no,
lot
he
with
had a
less,
lot of
for
value.
So what
We need
love-
more of that.
What I like about Hudson is he might not talk a lot, but he is a very good listener.
You are
And
growing. I feel like
he-
you grow the most out of
He
all
also,
of us.
I think he feels like he doesn't have a right to talk sometimes
Yeah, you're not in the room. We're
because
talking
he's way
about you.
younger
We're
than
talking
us.
about you right
How old
now.
are you?
15.
Really, 15?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Wow, dude. Hell, that's awesome.
Kill yourself.
Cool.
wait.
Your mama
I mean,
gonna
I
get you.
wasn't
get you,
talking to
bro.
you. I was talking to you guys.
But yeah, I mean, he's
You
been.
dropped a lot. You have some wisdom for being 15. That's crazy.
Thank you.
I think it helps that you hang around good people and people that have a little bit more knowledge than you, also, and you also like to ask questions. So
And you step out of your comfort zone when it's time.
I
It's-
try.
Yeah.
I try.
think
So
it's great.
now that we're talking about stepping out of our comfort zones, Hudson, would you like to send us off with a prayer? Yeah.
Sure.
There you go.
Are
Sure.
there any prayer requests?
Anybody
yeah.
have any prayer requests?
Let me think.
At all? Where should I put the mic? Because I'm like a tight,
Just
like
put it
very,
where
very
your phone
quiet
is
person.
and like kind of
Just right here.
put the table in front of you or something.
Alright. I'll tilt the mic down too.
Yeah, make sure your voice is aiming at the.
Yeah,
No, I'm good. I think life's good right now. I don't really need any prayer.
life's pretty good. Just pray that any prayer requests that are left in the comments or that they would put any in there so we can pray for people.
Yeah, that this video, whether it reaches one of us in this room or it reaches somebody it's meant to reach, and allow not just us four, but anyone who bears the weight of being a disciple, that they take courage and go and speak out to other people and allow us doing that to be actually heard and like take it into account by these non-believers, or if they even believe, like, and they're just not that far in their faith. Allow the disciples of Christ to go out and reach the public and actually reach to them by letting God speak through them. If that makes sense. That was a lot. I'm sorry.
That was a lot.
So basically, what we did last night.
Yeah.
What we did last night.
Allow our disciples.
Let the disciples reach other
reach people.
reach people. Just reach people.
Just
Reach
reach
the public,
minds. of
Preach
other
the
people.
word.
Let's do it.
So just that, right? Is that the only thing?
That and just any prayer requests.
There's a girl named Destiny. Her brother is really sick, and
Okay.
her grandparents or her grandma just passed away. So for their family, give them peace and understanding. I prayed for it last night, but
Yeah.
it always helps to have
Will
more,
do.
and that the brothers recovers at some point.
Let's do it.
Lord, I come to you today, and I just come to you and I pray for Destiny and her family, that you give them peace and that you allow her brother to be healed, Lord, that you stretch out your healing arms and just wrap him up in your love, Father. I also pray that you give your disciples courage and that you allow them to reach the public and preach your word and just bring as many people to the faith as possible. Lord, I also pray for school. It's hard. I just pray that you allow us to power through it and you give us the knowledge we need to get through it. Father, I pray for my games coming up for soccer, that you give us the strength we need and allow us to play to the best of our ability. And I also pray for a good rest of the day, Lord. It's in your mighty name I pray. Amen.
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 Short little prayer.
Good prayer.
Hey, I just want to add one thing to God. Just thank you for everything you give us.
For sure.
Really. Cause
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm more grateful to just be able to than for the stuff you give me. So, and I know all these people around us.
Yeah.
Are all the same. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you guys
Thank you.
for listening. That's the end of the video.
My
Okay.
jolly goodness, bro.
Wow.
Holy crap.
That's that
Whoa. We gotta send the outro. Hold on.
What's the outro?
Gosh.
Outro.
We gotta
Outro,
say their
yeah.
final goodbyes. And
Gotta blow a kiss.
nigga. No, okay. So thank you guys for sticking to the end if you did. Thank you for even if you stopped in for 30 seconds. I hope someone out here or even one of us got something from this. And we look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday. If anyone has anything else to say, I just hope you guys, I want to leave everyone who's watching this also with another challenge, and you guys, I love my challenges like you said, that I challenge everyone before the next video drops to at least go up to two people. I want it to be hard, and they can't be someone you know, and to go talk to them about God. If it's a simple, hey, do you believe in God? And see where that conversation follows. That's the challenge for everyone who's watching and everyone in this room.
Yeah, I told the bartender that as soon as I went into the bar.
What?
That when I was at Brothers, and he told me to go in there and say something.
Oh, that's
And
what's
I
up.
told the bartender, and he was like, "You said you wanted a margarita?" I said, "You know our Lord Jesus, our Father and Savior Jesus Christ." And he's like, "You want a margarita?" And I was like, "Okay, whatever."
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, thank you guys for coming and
no problem.
giving more
Anytime.
wisdom to not just myself but everyone in this room and on the video. Yeah, I'll see you guys next Sunday with this setup, but
And we will see you guys Wednesday.
yeah.
Yep.
sweet.
All right,
See
peace
ya.
out.
See ya.